Moss, you want to just say hello? If you just come off mute for a sec. All right, maybe you're setting up. There you are. How you doing, Moss? Yeah, you're on mute. Yep, there we go.
Okay, now you can hear me.
I can, and you're number one.
I am.
Yeah.
Does that mean I get early feedback?
Yeah, that's right. Early feedback. Where are you calling in from?
From Oakland.
Oakland, Bay Area, of course. Yes, great.
Right. And where are you?
I'm in Manhattan.
Okay.
Yep.
I am still working on my volume levels here, but okay.
Actually, it's quite good. Good connection.
Good.
Yep.
On your end it is. On my end, I can't hear you well.
You can't?
No, I'm turning it up. Okay, there we go. I think it's good.
Okay, good. Excellent. Shoo. How long you been a StartOut member?
Well, pandemic on and off. I haven't gone to a lot of events. I haven't been to anything in person.
Okay.
So just a few of the online things.
Yeah. Actually, there's I'm going to one on this Friday night. StartOut as having an in-person social. So it'll be the first one I've gone to in 5 years, 6 years.
Wow.
Like
okay.
It's been a
so
while.
You've been a member for a long time.
I'm actually not a member, but I've been leading workshops for StartOut for about 7 or 8 years.
Great.
Yeah.
So what's your main business? What do you do when you're not giving these workshops?
Okay. So my main business is a career life and business coach.
Okay.
Mostly in the entertainment industry.
Oh, great.
Because I have a background as a talent agent, which I actually still use that skill to work on people's pitches. I'm also an entertainment lawyer. And I also teach a course at School of Visual Arts all about pitching your scripted TV series.
Wow, fantastic.
So lots of entertainment.
It sounds great.
Yep.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing. I feel like there's so many contexts in which this subject applies.
It's both professional and personal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very much the same thing. So we've got Alex joining us. And we got Severas coming in. Hello, Alex. Welcome. If you want to come off mute, Alex, and say hello.
Hi, how's it going? Alex here.
Great, Alex. Can you come on video for us? Great. Thank you, Alex. And where are you calling in from? You're on mute, Alex.
I'm in New York City.
Oh, me too. Whereabouts?
So I live by Astor Place, but I'm currently in Garment District.
I'm in the West Village.
Very nice.
So we're neighbors. And welcome. Is it pronounced Savitra?
Yep, that's it.
Great. Where are you calling in from, Savitra?
I'm from San Francisco.
San Francisco. So is Moss.
Right. I'm in Oakland.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great. So it's just 1 past the hour. We're going to wait a couple more minutes for others to join in. And Savitra, how long have you been a StartOut member?
You know, this is only maybe my second or third webinar, but I've probably been on the email list for 2 years, maybe.
Okay. So active, much shorter.
Yeah, actually, I did go to, there was an event in the botanical garden.
That looked fun. I missed it.
Yeah, it was nice. So that was like a month ago. So that was my first in-person event in a while.
Nice. And Alex, how long have you been a member?
So I don't think I'm actually a member. This will be my first webinar that I've attended.
Great. Well, you're still welcome to be here. Okay. Great. Excellent. So you've got 2 in the Bay Area and 2 in New York City.
Yeah.
We got the coast covered. Well, part of the coasts. Alex, how did you hear about the webinar?
So a friend referred me to another event that was going on, that was going on with the community, and I was not able to attend, but I saw that this was going on, so I signed up for it.
Great, excellent. All right, so we'll wait just 2 more minutes.
And Jim, I know this is scheduled to go till 5:30. I was gonna have to peel off 5-ish. So if you
Yeah, of
see-
course. Yep, absolutely fine. When you need to leave, just let us know you're leaving. So it's not so abrupt. You could just say hello. And actually, before you leave, I will ask you, Savitra, what's been your takeaways from today's workshop?
Okay.
And welcome. Is it pronounced Irina?
Yes. Hello.
Oh, I got it correct. I can't believe it. I'm terrible with names. And Irina, if you would put yourself on video, we would so appreciate that. Let's see. Give me 5 minutes. Okay, that's totally fine, Irina. Well, while you're setting up, just let us know where you're calling in from.
I'm out in Los Angeles.
Oh, you're in LA. Great. What neighborhood?
Westwood by UCLA. Is anyone else nearby?
Well, no, we got 2 in the Bay Area and 2 in New York City, and you're the first one from LA. So yes, I know where Westwood is. Beautiful area.
Nice.
All right, so let's get started. Others may join us. We'll see how it goes. So welcome everybody to StartOut's workshop on the art of giving and receiving. Notice it's both directions. Feedback. It's all about the delivery. By way of my introduction, and then I'll find out. We'll find out more about each other. As I was sharing with Moss earlier, I'm predominantly in the entertainment industry. I have 4 careers. I'm a career life and business coach. I coach lots of TV and film writers, producers, directors, actors, set designers, animators. I also coach a lot of small business owners, not only in entertainment, but in every other industry as well. I also use my background as a talent agent to consult on people's pitches. I'm also an entertainment lawyer, emphasize entertainment, so I don't do house closings, prenups, divorces, wills, trusts, estates, or criminal law. And fourth, I am an adjunct at School of Visual Arts, and I teach a course called Pitching Your Scripted TV Series to the Industry Experts. In the LGBT community, I volunteer as a peer counselor at a nonprofit here in New York called Identity House that's been around since 1973. And twice a month, I'm at the Gay and Lesbian Center, counseling folks who drop in, no appointment necessary, on anything and everything about their LGBT life. I also do workshops for, in addition to StartOut, Out in Tech. I do workshops for Legal, which is the LGBT Bar Association here. And I also do workshops for Out Professionals, which is the largest national gay networking organization. And they do have chapters in San Francisco and LA as well. That is my LGBT world. I've been doing workshops for StartOut for about 7 or 8 years. I did one this past January, virtual, and pre-pandemic, I worked on demo day where the presenter founders would get together with me a week before they're pitching their projects to investors, and I would give them feedback on their pitches. So that's me. And just want to welcome Todd, if you would come on video and let us know where you're calling in from. Just come off mute, Todd, and say hi to the group. All right, maybe Todd's setting up. So what I always like to do is ask each of you to share with lots of specificity. What do you do career-wise? And there's Todd's coming on. Great, Todd, where are you calling in from?
Hi, I'm in Burlingame, California, near San Francisco.
Okay, so 3 for the Bay Area. Okay, so beautiful. The Bay Area's got it. So if you would share what you do career-wise. And one other thing is to share a personal passion. And the second part of that is, what does that tell us about you? And just note that I play with people's language because language is critical for giving and receiving feedback. I may stop you mid-sentence. It may feel awkward and intrusive. Believe me, I'm doing it in the most supportive way. So a couple of ground rules, very simple. This is gonna be very, very interactive. There's no right or wrong answers or questions or observations. And actually, when you've got a question or suggestion or observation for the group, the best time to ask it is the minute it comes into your mind, which means there's no Q&A at the end. And there are two ways to get my attention. The old-fashioned wave your hand because we're all on the same screen, or you can go to the bottom of the screen where it says reactions, open it up, click the raise hand icon. I'll see that as well. I'm not going to be watching the chat, but you could certainly use the chat if you want to communicate with each other, either direct message or to the entire group. And finally, and this is my only pitch of the evening, my gift to everybody is a complimentary 30-minute coaching session on FaceTime or Zoom. And the easiest way to reach out to me is through my website, which is the very simple jimarnoff.com, and we'll connect that way. Okay, that's end of my pitch. So Moss, if you would, share with
Sure.
everybody with lots of details. What do you do career-wise?
Hi, everyone. I do brand strategy and positioning for consumer products and service companies, and basically work on where there's opportunity, how to tell their stories and make them unique and stand out from their competitors, and reach the audience that is going to be the most receptive to what they have to offer.
Okay, before I forget, Irina, you prefer not to record? What do other people feel about that?
It's
Anybody else
fine.
have an objection? So Irina, if let me know if this is okay with you. I can stop the recording when you speak. Is that okay? Or is that, yes, okay. So, and if I don't, remind me to stop the recording, which I believe I can do since I'm the co-host. Let me see if it works. It does. Okay, good. I can do it. All right. So Moss, I was totally focused on Irina's comment. So one more time.
Okay, so as I said, I do brand strategy and positioning for consumer products companies and service companies, and I basically help them find their audiences that are going to be most receptive, tell their stories in a way that makes them differentiate from competitors.
Good. And what would be your ideal product or service that you would love to do brand strategy for?
B Corp companies. I'm really gearing up to work for companies that are doing good. If I'm going to amplify what they're doing, I want it to be something good that I'm amplifying. Great.
So see what happens when you're even more specific. So if we were networking with each other, actually, which what we're doing, I would know even better who to refer you to. Moss, one word you want to let go of, and that's the word basically, because basic, and you're probably not even aware that you use it. So what's the root word of basically? Basic, and nothing that Moss does is basic at all. All right, Moss, personal passion.
Visual arts. I paint, I collect art. Yeah.
And what does that tell us about you?
My jam. What does it tell you about me? I'm left and right brained.
There you go. You do the
Yeah.
both. Excellent. Thank you, Moss. Savitra.
Great. Hello, everybody. Savitra Sharma. I'm actually just north of Todd here in Glen Park in San Francisco. And I founded a SaaS for Science company, which means we make a web-based SaaS application for scientists. So we basically enable everything from clinical research to cancer testing. We did a lot of work during COVID. So we basically give scientists the tools they need to be successful. And that tool is built on the Salesforce platform. So we combine the best of cloud computing with the scientific research, and we basically help scientists.
Good
succeed.
catch. Yeah, good catch on the basically. Excellent. Right, because you had two of those before.
Oh, I did?
You did. I'm telling you, these words, you're not even aware that you use them. They're very habitual. So that's why I'll keep pointing them out. And through awareness, just like you did now, you're actually going to catch yourself. And when you put one of these words out loud, you're not stuck with it. You can take it back. You can say, no, not basically. That's what we do. Exactly. So, and what's one of your, what is your actual, your favorite personal passion?
It is event planning.
Ah, and what does that tell the group about you?
I think that I really enjoy bringing people together,
Okay,
building community.
lovely. One suggestion, let go of the phrase "I think," because I think actually qualifies what comes next. So thinking is great. To say I think, I believe, I feel, those are all very qualifying words, and people will hear it as you're not so sure. There we go. So before we get to Alex, Yanira, just want to welcome you. If you would come on video and let us know where you're calling in from. There you are.
Hello, my name is Yanita. I am in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm currently outdoors and I will be listening while I'm going back inside. And I'm really happy to be here and to hearing what y'all have to say about feedback.
Great. So when you're going inside, can you remain on video?
I will once I get in there. I'll
Okay, that's
take you
great.
up.
Excellent. All right.
Okay.
Alex, tell us about what you do career-wise.
Okay, so I've been for about the last 5 years in working for a tech consultancy, more in the innovation space, so a bit of customer experience, some blockchain, really helping weave the tech part to more of like the end product of what a client might see. But I'm currently looking for new opportunities, hopefully in a little bit of a different sector. My background is in finance and strategy post my MBA. I'm looking to do something potentially more with finance, or really helping small teams build and grow a product or service.
Great. Building.
A product or service.
Okay, great. Okay. So you definitely want to let go of the word hoping or looking to, right? And you want to come from a place of declaring. So I'm actively pursuing, and you actually did it towards the end, right? In terms of who you want to do what for. So I'm actively pursuing, and just say the last part of your share again.
Oh, I don't know if I remember that part, but helping small, let's say, nimble teams grow.
Right, there you go. So, and instead of helping, you want to say empowering small, nimble teams grow. Absolutely, that's great. And my sense is, I heard in the financial services area.
I have an academic background in that, but I haven't really worked in that space. So it's something that I'm pursuing as well.
Okay, great. So the more specific, the more, as you're networking, the more that the person will know, who to introduce you to and how to support you. So whenever you're sharing, like you're all here, think of declaring, this is what I do, this is what I'm pursuing, right? So declaring, embracing, very powerful energies. Okay, and Alex, a personal passion.
Personal passion. I guess I would say I love to thrift or find furniture or different objects around the world and collect them.
Great. And what does that tell us about Alex?
I think just varied interests.
What is it about finding furniture and objects that gets you excited?
I think I enjoy the chase.
There we
I enjoy
go.
learning
Yes.
about different pieces.
Beautiful. There we go. Well done. All right. Hold on. Let me stop the recording. Hold on. Don't say anything, Irene. Okay. And Yanira, yes, you actually didn't introduce yourself. You just say where you are. So yes, we'll give you some time. All right. Todd in the Bay Area.
Yes, hi, everyone. I'm Todd Nelson. I am co-founder of a company named LiveSpace. We are an entertainment and technology company revolutionizing the live streaming industry, especially serving musicians, artists, and creators of all kinds. And we are launching in 2 weeks.
Excellent share. Every word counted, and you owned exactly what you do. Beautiful. Personal passion.
Initially, I thought, to say travel, which I do love to travel, but I think it's really even traveling locally to areas and communities, places I've not been before, and to always be exploring, learning about new cultures, trying new foods, just getting out of my normal routines, and just staying curious to what other people do and experience and live, and just to try to jump in on many cultures and learn from others.
Beautiful. Thank you, Todd. Yanira, you're up again.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'll start over. I apologize. My name is, I take that back. I'm not apologizing. I'm gonna start over.
Exactly. By the way, you never have to apologize or say you're sorry. Excellent. If
Yes.
anything, you always say, I take responsibility for. Much more powerful than I'm sorry. Go ahead, Yanira. Good catch.
My name is Yanita. It's like you need a cup of coffee or you need a nap.
Oh, so it's actually Yanita is pronounced that way.
It's an R, but it's a Spanish R, so it sounds like a T. So Yanita.
Yanita.
and-
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yanita, and I actually work at StartOut. I've been there for 6 months. I'm their systems manager. And as a systems manager at StartOut, I support the team in all their endeavors behind the scenes to make sure they have all the tools they need to unlock everybody else's potential.
So you're
And
actually
I
supporting me
also
right now.
manage. Woohoo! Yes.
Yes, Yanira, beautiful. Thank you for that. Personal
tap.
passion, personal passion.
I organize and I run a women's community, and it's a women's empowerment community here in Fort Worth. And the potential we've unlocked in each other like keeps me alive. So my personal passion is helping others, which is also why I'm at StartOut. I'm a mother and I love gardening.
Beautiful. And Kim, if you would just come on video and tell us who you are. Kim, you want to come off mute? All right, we'll give Kim a minute or two before we do. So the reason I ask you to all share about your personal passion and what it tells us about you, as you're networking, and people often don't do this, they don't share who they are outside of their career. And when you're networking, it's not only, yes, what you're offering, your product, your service, whatever it is, the other person is thinking, do I want to work with you? And when you share your personal passion, notice I don't say hobby or interest. I say personal passion. And when you share it, I didn't give this prompt, you want to be specific, right? Just like Todd shared with lots of specificity what he likes to be, explore and what he's curious about. So you want to be really specific. And if he said, oh, I like to travel, that wouldn't have given us any sense about Todd, but he got much more specific. And then the part two, which is the prompt I gave you, is what does that tell you about me? So as you're networking, you're inviting somebody into your world, both professionally and personally. All right, so let's get to the meat of the workshop. And let me throw out to the group, what is feedback? And again, no right or wrong answers. And you could raise your hand like this or click the raised hand icon under reactions. Floor is open. All right, hold on, Irene.
Oh, you don't have, I just wanted to, you don't have to stop the recording I just meant for my personal introductions.
Okay, good. Okay. Irina, what's feedback?
Yeah, I think in my mind, it's the giving constructive criticism or maybe an opportunity to course correct in a way that the person grows.
All right, so no, I know you weren't so sure about that one. So you want to stay away from the word criticism, right? Because that's negative energy. Somebody could take that as putting them down and really not looking to empower them or to foster their growth. So it's constructive feedback, right? And you always want to use those two words together. Constructive and feedback is great. And yes, it's very much about the person's growth. And when you're sharing constructive feedback, it's really good to share where you're coming from in giving the feedback, right? So I'm going to give you some constructive feedback, right, for your growth and to strengthen our collaboration together, right? So when you share where you're coming from, I call it the setup or the frame, the person is less likely to be defensive. Or, uh-oh, here comes the criticism. Uh-oh, the shoe's going to drop. Whereas when you put it out up front, what your motivation is, what you're committed to, they're going to hear the feedback in a much more open way. Thank you for that, Irina. Who else? What else is feedback? Oh, Todd.
If I may, I'll just add to that, I've already learned something or thought of something new. I tend to always say constructive criticism,
Okay.
not say constructive feedback. And
Right.
it's just a better word to use than,
Yeah. Right, because constructive criticism, it fights each other, right? It's oh, which one is it? Is it constructive or destructive? Exactly. Right. What
I would
else?
say that for me, it's very opinion-based.
Say again?
I would say that the word for me connotes opinion. So my feedback might be different than somebody else's.
Excellent. Okay, great. So that's a beautiful point. So you can say, in giving, the feedback, this is my perception. This is what I'm noticing, right? So you're not telling the person, let me back up. So you're not speaking for them. You're giving your observation. This is what I'm noticing, right? Those kind of words, thank you for this, Alex, will be heard a lot better than when you talk for somebody. You did this and you did this, you did this. So yes, I'm noticing, I'm observing what I see, right? And this is my perspective. In fact, you could say, this is my perspective and add to that, and I'm totally open or I'm all ears to hear and get your perspective, right? Not necessarily agree with it, right? Because it's not necessarily about agreeing. It's about the act of listening, right? Because feedback is always in both directions. So when you're giving feedback, you want to hear it back. It's like, okay, what are your thoughts about that feedback? Right? So the more mutual, the more both parties, I'll call them parties, are engaged, the stronger it will be, because then it becomes collaborative rather than, all right, you did this, 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 and this. It's not a plan. It's like, all right, you got to do this, this, and this. I mean, you may generate a plan from that, but the feedback, it's very in the moment. It's very spontaneous. Now, yes, you may have thought it through, but as you're sharing it, right, you don't want to read a script. You don't want to read from notes, right? You want to keep that eye contact, that connection, because any feedback is based on trust, right? There has to be trust. And trust comes from transparency, right? Openness, directness, vulnerability. In fact, you could say to somebody, you know what? It's really difficult for me to give you this feedback, right? And you can share why. Well, that already creates a connection, because any strong dialogue, feedback, whatever it is, it comes from a place of openness, vulnerability, right? Because vulnerability creates trust. And when you have trust in a relationship, that's when the magic really happens. Thank you, Alex, for that. Moss, what's feedback for you?
Well, so I was just going to make the point that I think that often feedback is a euphemism.
Okay.
For do it my way. Like,
okay.
And so there's a power struggle that's implied, often titled feedback. And it's not to say that that's always the case, but there are numerous times, certainly in our careers, if we work for someone and they're saying, it's time for me to give you some feedback, and it's not always in the moment, it can often be later.
Yes.
It's really about how are you doing things either great, but usually it's the negative. We don't tend to compliment people and give them positive feedback is enough. And that's a whole management style. But then negative feedback often is not on the spot, and it's often really intended to direct someone to do something the way that the person who's giving it wants or would do it themselves.
Okay, great point. Actually, you made some wonderful points. Now, and part of the feedback, thank you for that, Moss, is also to give what you just talked about is positive feedback, because, feedback does not and should not always be negative. You want to give authentic, positive feedback, right? But you want to do it in a way where you don't give the positive feedback and then through the feedback that I don't want to say negative, I would say areas for growth and strengthening, right? I know it may sound euphemistic, but it does make a difference. You don't want to do it in a way where you take away that positive feedback. So a lot of time, so never give the positive feedback and then go, but, right? Because but negates everything, or however, that negates everything you just said. So yes, you always want to start out with, in fact, you could say part of the frame, I'm going to give you what is really working and what I'm really appreciating, in what you do. I'm also going to give some direct feedback on areas for you to strengthen and grow. There's the grow question, grow word, Irina. Excellent, right? So you don't have to say negative. You don't have to say you're screwing up. Now, yes, not always, a lot of us come from a place of, just follow my orders, right? Now, okay, there's some executives that do that. To me, that's not feedback. That's an order, right? And it depends on the culture of the company. Well, can you give feedback on, well, you know what? I hear that as an order, and I really want to be heard, right? Because if you're talking, no matter who you're talking to, there are 4 things that they're looking for in any conversation, especially in feedback. They want to be valued, respected, heard, and understood, right? So, valued, respected is giving that positive feedback. Heard is giving them space to give feedback on your feedback or give you feedback on you, right? I mean, that's the ideal. And then understood is where you're actively listening to the other person and you're acknowledging what you're hearing. And by acknowledging doesn't mean you're repeating word for word like a parrot. That doesn't really, that's not giving a lot of thought to it. You're paraphrasing what you're hearing, and then you're also adding some of your own words that capture the essence of what that person said. So for instance, like, so let me be sure I understand exactly what you're saying. And then you paraphrase it and add some of your own words. I'm telling you, when you do that, whoever you're interacting with will be your best friend forever. Like somebody is actually listening and wanting to understand what I say, not agree, right? It's not all about agreeing yet. It's about understanding it and understanding where they're coming from and asking, well, hold on a second. You know what? Actually, I'm not following and I really want to get what you're saying. So say it a different way. Oh my God. I mean, that creates unbelievable trust. Thank you for that, Moss. Savitra, what's feedback for you?
Well, one thing I was thinking about was just that, feedback sandwich that we've all heard about, which it sounds like you're describing, right? Like the good, the growth, and the good again, or something.
Actually, before you go on, I've heard that many times. And the analogy that just came up for me is rather than the sandwich or anything else, here's the meal. Here's the feedback meal, right? They're different courses. So it's not like the good, the bad, the good. I mean, because already I
said growth. I said good, growth, good, but
okay, that's whatever. I just came up with, here's the meal, right? And they're different courses of the meal. The important thing is that it all blends together and you're not saying the good to, cushion the person for the bad, or it's actually not about that at all. It's really one and the same, right? So that's what I call about, positive feedback and feedback for growth and learning or whatever that, right? Expanding, whatever it is. So negativity is not in it. Now, by taking negativity out does not mean you can't be specific and authentic. You absolutely can, right? That directness is critical for a couple of reasons. Number one, so they truly understand where you're coming from, right? And you're able to get it all out rather than, oh, I got to be careful about what I say. And well, that doesn't help a very vibrant conversation. And that's why, again, the setup of the feedback is so important, right? In terms of where you're coming from. I'm going to be listening to everything you say. I welcome your feedback on my feedback. I'm here to come up with solutions together, right? All that setup is so critical. And in fact, I do another workshop called Tough Talks Made Easy, Lose the Fear, Gain the Confidence. So it could be around feedback or it could be about something else. And the critical part of that workshop is what I just described about the setup, right? So if my father, who anytime he was really angry at me or pissed off, he would come into my room, close the door. And I knew, oh my God, it was all over. And he never listened to me. He just did what he had to say. And here's the punishment. So if he said to me before he even closed the door, Jim, I've got some concerns. I'll be very direct with you. And it's really for your growth. And I'm all ears to hear what you think about what my observations are. Oh my God, if my father said that, we'd have such a rich conversation, right? So, but he was a great dad in many other ways. So that's where the setup is so important. Yanira, thoughts about feedback for you? If you're there, Yanira, maybe she's not.
She said she's might be busy with dinner prep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I'm not reading the chat.
But I'm here. I'm listening. I just didn't want to, like make you look at me like prep food.
Oh, no,
I
no,
am
no,
fascinated.
It's the world of Zoom. You could do, well, not everything,
Okay.
but yes.
But it can be distracting. So thank you. No, I'm riveted. I'm fascinated. I'm in this new role and feedback and communication. The loops are frequent and they have not gone very well for me in the both giving and receiving, and things can get very confusing. And you've touched on so many things about clarifying what's happening in the space.
Yes.
And I feel like just overhearing all of this, all of these little tidbits help me just sort of frame how I can show up in the space when interacting with others, especially when you're giving feedback to so many people. And I find that people need feedback in different ways, like the setup, like you're talking about, that is beautiful. So my thoughts are, please keep talking because I love everything and it's been very poignant.
Okay, and one word you want to let go of Yanira, and I can't resist. It's the sorta word, the sorta and kinda word. It's I'm telling you, what it does, it diminishes whatever comes next by 90%. Right? Can you imagine if
amazing? Thank you.
If Irina said, "Well, I'm kinda in the data privacy world." Kinda? Are you? Aren't you? So be very aware of that. Kinda, sorta. Again, very habitual, and it's very pernicious in terms of taking away your power.
Yeah, it is. It's like a fear-based, like, well, I don't want to commit or
There you
something.
go.
So I see
Exactly.
it. Thank you.
You bet. Kim said she is listening. Could you come off mute for a minute, Kim? Is that possible?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Where are you calling in from, Kim?
I'm calling from San Francisco. I'm still at work and I'm troubleshooting something. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's totally fine. We get it. So we now have 4 from the Bay Area. Who knew? Okay, Kim. Just want to be sure you were listening. Okay, great. All right.
I'm here.
Excellent. Any other thoughts about what feedback is? Yes.
I heard a notion that, I've been toying with starting here at my company, which is feed forward, which is basically the notion was when you give someone feedback, then they might get defensive. They might, right? But if it's like, hey, it's all about looking forward and the growth and the learning, right? So I guess in essence, it's sort of the same. I mean, I can send you where I got this from. It was an interview with Wagon Flyer, the CEO of the wagon company.
All right.
They changed to feed forward, and they don't look at the past. They're just happy to be better.
So I actually like the word feedback because you're giving observations about what has actually happened in the past, right? So you would couple that with, here's feedback for your growth and learning moving forward. Yes. So if you want to say feed forward, that's fine. It may be a little confusing. So feedback doesn't mean it's only about looking at the back, getting stuck in the back. It's about taking everything that happened and molding it, playing with it, looking at it jointly together about how together we can move forward more powerfully, more productively, whatever words you want. So you're right, it's the same thing. But for me, feedback is actually accurate. Coupled with this is where I'm coming from in giving the feedback. Moss.
So yeah, the other thing, I like the idea and it sounds very positive to do feed forward, but it's not, it's leaving out the accountability.
Correct.
So
yes.
I just had painters in our house and they did a crappy job. I don't care if they do the next job better. I need them to take responsibility for what they did and fix it. So there's a very different kind of feedback.
Absolutely. Right. Right. Yeah. And again, every situation is going to be different, right? If you have painters that you're painting and they, in your words, they did a very poor job. Well, you could say it's a poor job. And what you want to do, and maybe you already did this, is what made it a poor job? What was missing? What do you want? To give them clear direction. And then you get into the negotiation about, okay, how can we literally clean it up? And by when?
Right. So that is what I did. And I was very careful not to call it unprofessional, not to use any triggering, kind of words that might make them on the.
That's fine. That's right. Yeah, right. You say, you know what? That's not really what my understanding is of what we agreed to.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Or what you described is not what happened. So let's make it happen. Right. Let's where we're both happy. Right. Thank you for that. That's great.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Say again.
Can I play devil's advocate?
With the painters or something else?
No, for it to the feed forward, because I didn't realize
yeah,
that
of course.
name.
Yeah, of course.
So one thing that I did actually, so because I mentor a lot with first-time founders, this was something I didn't realize this was the term, but I ended up doing. So when I first mentored at one accelerator with first-time founders, the startups in the accelerator didn't know almost like the culture, and they didn't know they could reach out to the mentors every week for free. And so now, and then I shared that afterwards with the accelerator of, hey, you need to share that. So now when I work with a different accelerator and I see there's a lot of first-time founders, in my first call, I tell them, hey, the culture is you're more than welcome to reach out to me every week. And I had to remind founders, actually, I emailed them last week and I said, you can get 10 free consulting hours from the 10 free mentors every week, right? And I expected, and I didn't realize that's what it was called. So it's the kind of giving the permission to do this, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. And what you did was, it's a great question or a great thing to share is, let me share with you the culture of this company or the principles, the ethics, all of that. So you're giving the context of how the employee can thrive within that company. Beautiful. That's excellent. All right, before we get into what gets in your way of giving powerful feedback or receiving powerful feedback, any other ideas, concepts of what feedback is? We got Kim. What's feedback, Kim?
Feedback to me is an opportunity for a continuation of dialogues, discussions, sharing ideas. So I think my approach, never mind. My approach to giving feedback or receiving feedback would be identify the issues.
Yes.
And then also provide suggestions, and then hear from the other party, and then work out something like, and then we can both meet halfway, I think. Okay, so excellent. So Kim, you want to let go of the phrase "I think" because that qualifies what you just said, right? I try not to say sorry, but no sorries, no I thinks. All right. So you want to let go of all that and come from a place of declaring. And by the way, for the folks that just arrived, you may not have been on the call when I said my gift to everybody is a complimentary 30-minute coaching session on FaceTime or Zoom. So just reach out through my website, which I just posted. So well done, Kim. Anything else before we get to what gets in your way of giving powerful feedback? Or yes, Todd, definition.
Thank you. I will add that as we spoke earlier, so often feedback, we look at that as, the negative things, right? And the
Right.
positive things. And I've always taken an approach as a manager to kind of praise in public, scold in private. And when giving feedback or say scold, but I almost want to say constructive criticism again, but constructive feedback.
And that's, when you say, and you know what, you'll probably say it again. And when
Yeah.
you say it to a colleague or a direct report, anybody, say, hold on a second. No, it's constructive feedback.
Yeah. So anyhow, yes, exactly. So I've always, as a manager, taken the approach of, to find opportunities to praise people and do that, in a way that other people can see that and
Yes.
really create that environment of recognition and celebration. And that when I do give constructive feedback, that it's really built around not directly at the person who's doing it. It's not the person is not the problem. It's whatever the situation is. Could be the person, but I mean, in most cases, it's something that didn't get delivered correctly or something needs fixing, and so focus on the problem and the solution, and not the personal element of it.
Right. So I love what you said about praise and recognize in public. Absolutely. And you want to do it authentically, right? Because if you're not authentic, people can feel it. So, and when you give praise and praise and recognition, just like I gave the prompt to you when you're sharing about what you do career-wise, be specific, give specific praise and recognition. Not, oh, you're great. It's like, okay, what exactly does that mean? And then you said, well, first of all, you want to give praise and recognition both in public and in private, right? Any opportunity you can. And you said in public, and what do you do in private?
Well, I originally said scold, but
Oh, right. Okay, scold. I'll use your word for right now. You don't want to scold them. Yeah, you don't want to scold in public. Absolutely not. No, that's the worst thing you can do. All right, so let's get into the second portion of the workshop. What gets in your way of giving powerful feedback or accepting feedback powerfully?
What gets in the way, I would say often hurting feelings or like a retaliatory type of a concept.
Okay, so all right, those are very, very charged words, and yes, people can take it that way. So the thing about feelings, and again, this is a bit generic. You can't control people's feelings. What you can control are the words you use, the tone you use, the presence you use, your body posture you use. That you can all control, right? If people, and again, how you set it up will also, if you will calm the person down about what I call taking everything personally in a negative way, right? So the words are very important. Sharing where you're coming from is very important. So you minimize them going to those negative feelings. Now they still may go there for their backgrounds, the trauma they had. You don't know, right? The important thing is you don't want to walk on eggshells to protect them from any negative feeling, because a negative feeling is not necessarily negative, right? It's also a feeling, and a feeling, as we often say, are not facts. They're not there forever. They come and go. And feelings are also, by the way, a negative feeling, this is so important. A negative feeling means you are stuck in a surviving pattern from the past, right? So a negative feeling can, if you probe, I'm not saying you need to probe that with a colleague, but as a coach, when I hear a negative thought or feeling, I'm going, where does that come from? And what is underneath that feeling, right? And that will uncover so much. And it's almost a survival pattern of, let's say, avoidance or yesing people all the time. That's how you got through the childhood and your parents and your third grade teacher. and you want to move from a place of surviving to thriving, right? So, if there are negative feelings in a safe space, you want to be able to explore them and realize that, wait a minute, I'm a powerful adult. I don't need to survive anymore. I want to thrive. And what do I need to thrive? What kind of support do I need? What kind of, just like, Irina said, oh my God, all this mentoring, so you're not stuck in the negative feelings, right? That's a little bit of therapeutic approach. I'm not saying you need to go there, but what I'm saying is you can't control it, and it's not a bad thing for the person to express it or feel it. And by the way, if you're sensing a certain feeling, you can make an observation around it. Wow, your mood just shifted, right? Or I'm noticing that I don't sense your presence anymore, right? Again, you're not telling the person that they're doing that. You're giving your personal take on it, and that can open up a lot as well. Whatever that resistance is, old behaviors. So just some tips on that. And what was the second one, Alex? Retaliation, I think you said? Yeah. Retaliation in what sense?
So I think often you'll tell someone like, oh, okay, I've noticed this, and there's like a response of, well, I've noticed X, right? I've noticed X, I've noticed Z, or there's a.
Okay, got it. So like a tit for tat, defensiveness, retaliation. Got it. Okay, so that you want to take care of by the opening, the frame. You can actually have what I call terms of engagement, where they're terms of giving and receiving feedback. And one of the terms could be, before you respond, simply listen and understand where I'm coming from, and ask lots of clarifying questions, and simply listen. You don't have to agree with me, just listen. And I'm going to do the same for you. So it's not retaliation, right? Because retaliation means not only did you not hear what I said, you dismissed it, and now you're on the attack. And feedback is all about minimizing or even eliminating any of that retaliation, attacking, defensiveness, right? Because that is the number one state of mind that will block feedback from being successful. And that's all from the setup. You can call them terms of engagement. Actually the best time to do the terms of engagement is before you even give feedback, or before anything, happens that needs to be corrected. All right, what else gets in your way of powerful feedback receiving and giving? Yes, Savitra.
Something that I always struggle with is when the feedback is kind of tied to their personality almost. So it's, say someone's an over talker, right? And, or just a trait that is getting in the way of collaborating, but
Okay.
it's stemming from their personality. I don't want to give them feedback on their personality, right? Or this their nature, but
Great.
it's rubbing people the wrong way.
Got it. All right, here are two big tips. Tip number one is ask permission. Now, it depends on your relationship with each other, but even if it's a colleague or a direct report, I like to give you some constructive feedback. May I give you some feedback on what just happened? Now, everybody will always say, of course you can, because asking permission is respect. And they'll hear it as respect. And that creates trust and a bonding. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, we actually talked about it before, is you want to personalize it, right? So I want to give you some feedback that's really blocking me from getting exactly what you're saying, because I want to be present for you. I want to understand you. And when you talk so quickly and you go in so many directions, I can't focus, right? Or anything like that. So you focus, on yourself, what you're experiencing, right? It will get to the same thing in a very different way. So again, it's less likely to be taken as criticism. You're this way, you're a talker, you talk too much, shut up, I can't stand it. Now, you may have relationships where, it's as if best friends can tell each other anything, right? But short of that, if I may give you some feedback and share how I'm experiencing you. In fact, that's a great line. I want to share how I am experiencing you. And what's getting in the way, here's the positive spin on it, of me really being able to collaborate with you. And then you could say, what I need, right? What would be ideal for me is. And you also want to share in that what you are prepared to do to make it work, right? So everything is as mutual as possible. How is that, Savitra?
Yeah, that was awesome. I like the, in general, the asking is great for anything.
Anything, right, correct.
I always like when you give the why, right? Because you could have just said that, but you said, why do you do it? And I'm like, oh, okay, now I can connect the action with the reasoning.
Yeah.
But then, focusing on yourself, even though it might still, at the heart of it, be about how they communicate, but at least you're making it more of a one-on-one interaction, and you're not saying you're like this with everybody or everybody feels this.
Right, exactly. So you don't want to generalize, right? You make it literally between the two of you, because they'll get that, well, if I'm doing this with you, I'm probably doing it with everybody else.
Right.
Great.
Yeah, that was good. No, thanks. That was good.
Okay. What are the challenges that folks have around feedback? Yes, Yanita. 1 second. Okay.
Okay. Hi. One of my challenges, I'm a person on the autism spectrum.
Okay.
And every now and then I get overstimulated and there'll be just like a hijacking and words escape me. And I am very familiar being vulnerable because I have to own it at the moment. Sometimes I start crying. And I would like to improve that hijack response, which ultimately I believe is a fear-based response. Insecurity of some kind is creeping in, but there's also just like an executive functioning situation, and it can be very awkward sometimes.
So how often do you share with colleagues what you just shared with us?
I don't interact with that many of my colleagues, but I do when it's appropriate. I try not to hide it, but I probably should be opening with it or something. I don't know. So my answer is wishy-washy.
Okay. So, okay. Well, first of all, this is a safe space, and I compliment you for, sharing what you share. And I always encourage full disclosure, because full disclosure, transparency builds trust, and trust is the foundation for any relationship. So, and it also is a matter of how you position it, right? And you position it in a very direct yet assuring way, right? You didn't say, I'm out of control, I'm a mess, I don't know, oh my God, help me, right? You said, I'm on the autistic, I think you said autistic spectrum, fine. And when I tend to, get overstimulated or, right, so okay. And then you would share, and this is what I need from you, right? And also give the other person permission that if any time you're not following me or I'm confusing, stop me in the moment. You'll feel better, they'll feel better, because you've given them permission. They don't have to tiptoe around and go, oh my God, she's on the spectrum. What do I say? I don't want to, I got to be careful, right? Because feedback, there's an openness to it, right? There's a safety, there's a trust. That's what this is all about. It's about safety and trust. And creating that comes from vulnerability and transparency. And the more specific you can be about how you need the other person to be, the more comfort will be created. And then the other person will know, I totally know how to interact with you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. That was helpful. I've been I have been experiencing this
Okay.
organically in
Yeah.
post. The experience will happen and then the words come out. It's almost like the setup wasn't there because I wasn't expecting it. But
Right.
now as life is getting more complicated, I believe it's part of my setup. So thank you for that.
Yep. Good. And thank you for being vulnerable. There you go. All right. Who else has challenges around feedback?
I will share that
Go, Todd.
the biggest challenge for me perhaps is giving.
Hold on a second. Before you go, Todd, Savitra's got to jump off. Before you go, Savitra, what are your takeaways from today's workshop? You're on mute, Savitra. There
Sorry,
you
I
go.
was
That's right.
pressing the space bar, but it wasn't listening. I think the biggest takeaway, it was great, by the way. I mean, all these tips have been awesome. I have a whole notepad here of takeaways.
Okay, good.
But I like the valued, respected, heard, understood paradigm,
Yes. Mhm.
because I feel like that's enough things that I can remember going into the interaction.
Great. In fact, I've got coaching clients who they have 4 Post-its, and on each Post-it is one of those words, and it's really center of everything for them.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, now you can drop off. Okay, and let's go back to Todd.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I was saying about giving feedback that I throughout my career as I went up through the ranks of higher levels positions, I very often had, especially earlier on, had trouble actually giving constructive feedback to people and things that really that I needed a change to be made and I needed something to happen. And I was brought up in a home like, you're just always nice to everybody. You never say anything, critical or anything. It's like, oh, everybody's just fine. And I still find that coming back to me on occasion. I have to just kind of continue to pinch myself and be like, oh no, do this. But it's a challenge for me to actually, call something out, that needs to be addressed and changed. And there's that discomfort of that I.
Okay, good. Excellent. So first of all, you've got the awareness around it.
Yes.
That's the start. Number 2, remember what you just described were surviving patterns.
Yeah.
Which don't work in feedback, right? In fact, that's not feedback. It's avoidance. Right? It's protecting others when they haven't even asked you to protect them, right? So it's giving, again, constructive feedback is actually not calling out, right? Because think about it, calling out has lots of negative energy to it. Sharing concerns you have, sharing observations to strengthen. That's very different than calling out, because calling out is probably what you expect would happen from your parents. Bad Todd, right? And I'm not saying that, but it could be. That's probably what you heard. It's like, oh my God, if I disagree, it's bad Todd.
Yeah.
Right? And yep, you've had that forever. It's been with you. And no, it's a choice, right? That I choose now to do it differently in a thriving way, not only for me, for everybody I interact with, who I give very constructive feedback, and not only for their growth and learning, also to strengthen our relationship. Right? All the benefits. It's like, oh, when I'm interacting with somebody, they're not my parents or my 3rd grade teacher or my football coach, right? I got through that, okay? I want to thrive as Todd. And I want to be, thank you, Savitra, valued, respected, heard, and understood. And if you're people pleasing or avoiding, that's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
Because people pleasing, number 1, you feel lousy, you feel resentful, and the other person knows you're people pleasing.
Yeah.
So you want to move from people pleasing to people empowering, including yourself.
Very good. Appreciate that.
You bet. My workshops are always therapeutic. Okay, let's go to Kim. What's a challenge for you around feedback?
I think it's trust.
Okay.
And also the fear about the
Hold on, Kim,
audience.
let's take one. By the way,
Okay.
we got a two-parter or a three-parter. You always want to say, I've got a two-parter or a three-parter. And you
Got
say,
it.
here's the first one, and then you stop, and then you let the facilitator or whoever it is answer it. Okay. So trust. When does this come up for you, Kim?
When I'm interacting with coworkers who we usually don't interact, and then when I'm gonna get feedback from them, is like, but we hardly talk to each other.
Great. Okay. So if you don't talk or you don't really get to know each other, it's hard to create trust, right? Which is why I also had all of you share a personal passion, right? That's sharing who you really are in your humanity. So for you, Kim, to initiate if your coworkers don't, is to say, you know what? I really like to get to know you better, right? I like to share more about who I am, right? Because trust, it's really hard to create trust when you don't know the individual. It actually makes a lot of sense that you don't have that trust factor. So I would encourage you, in fact, you could tell people, you know what, I want to know you better and really strengthen our relationship and the trust between us and the ability to share whatever is on our mind constructively. Now, how does that sound, Kim? I know that would be very bold.
Yeah, and I wonder if that even works, because especially these days people work from home.
Well, that doesn't mean you can't have this kind of conversation. And it doesn't mean, depends where everybody is, you can actually get together over coffee, or my favorite networking or conversation meal is breakfast. I love breakfast. It's cheaper. People are more relaxed. I love breakfast, right? So get together, and you could call it you know what? Let's do a get to know each other breakfast. Or if you're not in the same area, you know what? Let's do a get to know each other Zoom call. And
Okay.
Kim, what's the worst thing could happen?
They talk among themselves about me.
You know what?
Yeah, the other team members will talk among themselves about me.
And guess what, Kim? They do already. Right? Everybody talks. So why not share more about what you want them to talk about? You.
Let me think about it.
All right. So I take that as she's not going to do it. So Kim, what would be the upside of having these bold conversations? What did you ask for at the very beginning of this question?
What do you?
You want trust. Actually, you said, I don't have trust, which I'm hearing is, I want trust.
I do.
Right. So if you want trust, the only way to get that is open communication with your colleagues in both directions.
I don't want to go.
What?
Yeah. Okay. So I don't want to go into specifics, but there were some things had happened before at work. It does not include me. I was not involved in it, but it's like we shared some history, and then it's like my sense is there is some bad feelings here and there.
So you know what you could do, Kim? You could acknowledge them. You could share with your colleague, you know what, my sense, you don't want to say, there are bad feelings. My sense is there's some bad feelings here, right? And they want to get past them. I really want to create a stronger relationship with you of trust. Use that beautiful word. It's powerful. So you can either remain, without trust, not knowing people, and their chances are they're going to say things behind your back without the more they know about you, the less likely they are to say anything negative about you, because you're taking the time to value, respect, listen to, and understand them, right? Those 4 words that Savitra said. In fact, you could say that to your colleague. I'm here to value you, respect you, listen to you actively, and understand you. Oh my God. First of all, when have they ever heard that? And you'll be like their, I don't want to say idol. Again, you'll be their best friend forever. So I'm strongly recommending, if you truly want the trust, is take the initiative and know that the worst thing could happen is, Kim, what?
Nothing.
Nothing. All right. Well, it doesn't mean, if they don't open up right away, that doesn't mean they don't hear you. It may be
Okay.
difficult for them or awkward. Maybe they need I call it a second date to really process it. It doesn't matter. Everything's like dating, right? You want to go on do I want to go on a second date with this person? Well, if they're people you work with, you need to go on a second, third, fourth, fifth date because you're working together.
Oh, I haven't been dating for so long. Thanks for reminding me.
Yes, you can do that kind of do dating everywhere. All right, Kim. So
Thank you.
of the feedback I just gave you, what are you connecting with?
What am I connecting with?
Yeah, what's resonating with you?
Can you give me specifics?
What are you prepared to do differently after our conversation?
Have dinner and then think about it.
So I'm going to encourage you to have dinner and do it. Because thinking about it, what I hear is, no, I'm still concerned. It's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to do it,
I'm
right?
strategizing.
That's different, right?
Okay.
So, really processing the best approach in my own words, taking what Jim said and your colleagues here. Great, that's different. Because usually when I hear people say, think about it, it's like, no, not going to do it. So first of all, thank you for bringing this up, Kim. And trust comes from openness and sharing. All right, you had I think, was there a second part or a third part or fourth?
That's okay. I forgot the other part.
Oh, by the way, thank you for that. When you have a multi-parter, just say, I have a 2-parter, and let me just tell what the 2 parts are, and then you can do the first one first, right? So you don't want to forget it. We got some more time, Kim. If it comes up, come back. All right.
Will do.
I think you said fear, Kim, actually.
Oh, yeah, it was fear. Fear of, Kim?
Fear of, well, on the receiving end, I fear the funny faces that I might just end up making, and people can see the funny face. And
Right.
giving feedback, I think I fear the reaction the other person might have. But then my approach to that, to counter that, would be acknowledging that we want the same thing.
Yes. Yeah. Again, it's part of the setup. We're here. In fact, let me share where I'm coming from. And before I give feedback, I want to know what you would like to achieve in our conversation. Great.
Yeah,
And
so it won't sound like I'm just blabbing stuff.
right.
It's more like we all want to solve the problem. Let me
Yes.
give you my feedback, but and if I really suck at giving you feedback, it's not the intention is not what it sounds like. So
Yeah. In fact, give me feedback on feedback. Right.
Yeah.
And if you have funny faces, just tell the other person, by the way, I often do this funny face, and it means this.
Oh. Okay.
Be open, be direct, right? And
Okay.
Kim, all of this requires that trust.
Okay.
And when you have that trust, amazing conversations can be had.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
Good. All right. Excellent. Thank you for the Irina, the prompt on the fear. Great. We've got a couple more minutes on any other challenges, any other difficulties you have in giving or receiving feedback. Yes, go Moss.
Hey, I actually need to pop off, but I
Sure.
did want to give you feedback on what my top takeaway was,
Yes,
which
please do.
is, which is setting up the terms of engagement before. Because
Yeah,
I think that
excellent.
really can change the conversation dramatically.
Beautiful. And by the way, when you do that, you want, each one has the opportunity to give the terms of engagement, and you acknowledge each other, you understand them without agreeing right away. You can do some negotiating. And what I recommend is you actually, once you both agreed on it all, put it in writing.
Doesn't that make it a lot less spontaneous if you're doing that?
No, because what it is, the spontaneity comes from acknowledging, understanding, and then once all that happens, is just summarize your understanding.
Huh, okay.
And then, then go back and forth with the written summary until both of you go, that's it. It's very powerful, it's very clear, and it gives everybody peace of mind.
Okay, great.
And then you can, once you've got the terms of agreement, you both can change it, not unilaterally. It's got to be both of you. Right.
All right.
Excellent.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
boss. You bet. Irina.
Yeah. So I think one of my challenges is touching on this is the summarizing and negotiating. So what if one of my challenges is different mediums? Like I prefer to give feedback over Zoom or in person, but the other person completely does not want to do it in this medium and prefers to do it in a written format like Slack. And I've had this with a direct report. And yeah.
All right. I would do everything possible not to do it in writing. It's, oh my God, you miss so much misinterpretation. They can't hear the tone of your voice. They can't see your body language. Do not go there. In fact, say, you know what? I'm not gonna go there because I won't be able to really get where you're coming from. Put that out there. I really want to see, I want to hear your voice. I really want to get you. Oh, that'd be a great line. I really want to get here. I want to value, respect, understand you. And it doesn't work for me on Slack.
Mm.
I'm so glad you brought that up. All right, any other challenges from folks? Go, Irina, claim your space.
I mean, I relate so much to everyone else. I think the other one is the power dynamic. So when I'm the manager giving feedback to the direct report, right? And they're giving me feedback as well.
Yeah.
They're still, anyways, I'll stop there, but yeah.
All right, so thank you for bringing that up. So in giving feedback, no matter what your positions are, your titles or anything else, you want to come from a place of being colleagues, peers, right? And I always go like this. This is colleagues and peers. Because if you're way up here or you're like this, look at the distance, the gap. It's really hard to close that gap and that's why I love the word colleague. We're colleagues, right? And colleagues, that allows there to be that openness, and I don't mean being disrespectful. Well, you wouldn't be disrespectful anyway, no matter what your relationship is. Come from a place of colleagues. How's that, Irina?
So would that be the frame then, to say, hey,
I would put that in the terms of engagement, right? We're colleagues in giving each other feedback. Sure. Start back then. Yes, Yanita.
I wanted to just piggyback on what you were just speaking about, like one beat backwards about the medium. This was fascinating for me. As a person on the spectrum, I also have preferences, and they don't always align with what is needed for the group, and you learn to adapt and you get your tools, etc. So thank you for bringing that up, because I would be one of those people who might prefer a different way than you're used to. And so I attempt to, so this is partially a suggestion and just sharing that I heard it, I have tried, and I wondered from you if this is an acceptable thing, right? It would almost be easier if I could give you a video response, but not be live, right? Like, I don't want to write it and I don't want to read it, but I don't want to do it live. I want to just send you my video response. So it becomes sort of like a monologue, like a ping pong, and that's kind of lame. And so I'm open and I take answers offline,
So-
but it is a real struggle.
So what's your struggle about a live interaction?
It is where the like overstimulation can happen sometimes. It is something I can't control where the conversation is going, how much their speech rate, their, I'm
Okay.
gonna
So
bend it up.
what,
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that up. What terms of engagement would you need for the live interaction to work for you?
Okay, I will
Right.
noodle on that.
So it could be
Yes.
1 point at a time. It could be that, and that's simple.
Yes.
What I need is 1 point at a time. And when you share your point, for me to have time, it could be a couple of minutes to process it and give my
Mhm.
response before you go on to anything else.
It's very valuable. Thank you.
Right. And there may be other
I
terms.
will iterate and try. Yeah.
Whatever you need is to put them out there. Absolutely. And
But I
not,
did, but it might not work. Like to Irina's point,
well, then,
is I want to send you a video response. You're like, well, it
well,
doesn't work
then
for
you
me.
can,
Like,
then the two of you can
Have to
do a
figure it out.
debrief on the feedback.
okay, and just keep iterating until it lands
It's
right
like,
with
okay,
the
so
two people. Got it.
you could give them a debrief after the first point was made.
And take the time. I am
Take the
embedding
time
the time.
to massage it, to change it, because you may not, I'll use the phrase, nail it right away, right? This is new for you, it's new for them, you're not quite sure what you need. So you want to start with a safe space to put out what your needs are and to be able to change them, adapt them, right? And also what the other person needs from you,
Right.
right? Because remember, it's in both directions, so it works.
Thank you.
So we call that adaptability. All right. Anybody else before we do a closing go round? All right. So closing go round time, which we did with Moss and Savitra. What are your takeaways from today's workshop? So let's go to Irina.
Yeah, lots of takeaways. I've just been taking lots of notes, highlighting everything. So thank you very much.
Of course.
I think, lots of things came up. One, I think when you were giving Alex and Todd around the emotions, the stopping and figuring out afterwards, okay, why was that a trigger for me? I
Right.
think helps me a lot there. And then on the manager side, what you just talked about is the iterating on those terms of engagement before jumping in, I think will help a lot. So
Great.
that becomes the culture of how.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Kim, takeaways.
Yeah. Is I think sorry. Yeah. Start over.
Yes. Good catch. There you go.
Okay, so I finally come, I finally come clean with like just acknowledging my biggest fear about the feedback, whether it's giving or receiving.
Mhm.
That I may have problems trusting certain people, though it's based on a lot of the observations and how people react to things.
Okay.
And then my brain just go, oh no, can't talk to that person ever.
Right. So you want to reframe that to, what do I need to be open and direct with them, and for them to be open and direct with me?
Yeah, definitely need to change my mindset.
Yes.
I should also, Jim, give myself some time to change that mindset.
Yeah. That's fine. Yep, take your time, and you may start with the person that you have a little trust with, right? Or maybe start with a friend, right?
Yeah.
That all makes sense, Kim. All right, Todd, takeaways.
Sure. Big for me is that terms of engagement.
Yeah.
Of getting together with the person and understanding where you're both going to be coming from and how that conversation is going to happen. I think that's just really a good way to level the playing field for everybody. And
That's a great way. It is leveling the playing field. Beautiful. That's a great way to describe it.
and I have to just say constructive feedback.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Absolutely, got that one.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to Yanita.
Value, respected, heard, and understood.
Yes.
Really great framework, because you can't always set the terms of engagement at the beginning if you're not right. You know, like there are certain times where it is
By the
and
way,
so
that's a
have
great point. You may need to do some groundwork first.
Mhm.
Well said.
But keeping that as the core, I think will be valuable. I know will be valuable in the removing myself and my ego. Ooh, this person really wants this, you know? So very valuable. Mhm.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you all for participating and being vulnerable. Thank you, StartOut, for making this happen. And I'll be doing couple more 3 workshops coming up. So stay tuned, and I'll see as many as you in the near future as possible. And this has been incredibly rewarding for me as well. Good night,
This was
everybody.
very, this was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
Did a
so
great
much,
job.
Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Bye,
much.
everybody.
Okay, bye.